Hey guys, it's Bart Johnson here, and today I came out to the park and I wanted to run some tests and share something with you guys that I've been wanting to do for a really long time. So now that 3-axis gimbals have been released and are becoming all the rage and they're becoming so much more affordable, everybody wants them. A lot of people are saying that they're basically the be-all end-all in terms of camera movement, that Steadicams and sliders and dollies are obsolete now and that these 3-axis gimbals are just going to wipe them out. But I really don't think that's the case. It's the same sort of mentality where there's a tool for every job, and there's some stuff that Steadicams can do better, and there's some stuff that gimbals may do better, and I wanted to test that out. So today I'm out here with my friend David Aronson, who is a professional Steadicam operator, and David, you brought along your Steadicam rig here to pit against my DJI Ronin to see how they each perform. So what did you bring along?
This is a bare bell sled. The rest of it is Steadicam Master Series, it's called. It's a Pro Series rig. It will fly anything from a DSLR to an Alexa.
Wow, so you can go smaller all the way to bigger, very similar to the weight capacity of the Ronin here.
Yep.
This one will do DSLRs and then all the way up to about 16 pounds, so maybe a very stripped down Alexa, but yeah. So, and this is obviously a big professional system.
It is.
Obviously there are a lot of people who have glide cams and smaller stuff, they're going to be limited, but the sort of the functionality is basically the same kind of principle, right?
It's the same kind of principle. It's moving the center of gravity out from inside the camera down to the gimbal where you can balance and control it.
And you have your arm, which attached to the vest, which absorbs the shock and sort of takes care of your vertical axis of motion.
Yeah, that supports the rig and isolates it on the moving in X, Y, and Z.
Now that's one of the things that's a big difference between the 3-axis gimbals here, like the Ronin. Now the Ronin, you do have to balance it, so it does have a gravity aspect to it in the beginning there, getting it balanced. But then it uses electronic motors to actually do the stabilization, and it does not have anything to take care of that axis, that fourth axis of vertical translation. So that could be one of the things that we see a difference in the tests if you're going upstairs or something like that. So today what we're going to do is we're going to run each of these systems with the same camera. We're using the Sony FS700 and the same lens. We have a 24mm lens on there, EF mount with a speed booster. And we're going to be using the same system on each rig, and we're going to be running it through some tests. We're planning on doing a follow mode test, a leading mode test. We're planning on doing some turns, some tight corners. We're gonna try and do some stairs, and we wanna try and get in there if we can do an orbiting shot, keeping your subject in the center as you go around. And then maybe some other tests along the way if we don't lose our sunlight and we've got the time.
We'll do something fun.
Cool. All right, well, let's go ahead and get set up. We're gonna run the Steadicam first through everything, and we'll let you guys see the results. Okay guys, so David and I just finished up taking our rigs out, mounting the FS700 on it, and running through all those tests that we mentioned. And I hope you enjoyed the comparison of the two different rigs doing the same sort of moves, and you can see sort of the differences and similarities between them. We did have some notes that we wanted to share with you guys that we came across as we were doing all these tests. One thing to note is that these are very different systems that are moving the camera in similar but different ways.
The Ronin is entirely motorized, it uses computers, it stabilizes it almost for you. The Steadicam is almost entirely passive. There's no gyros, there's no motors, it's all based on physics and getting the center of gravity outside of the camera and into the sled.
And especially for the moves like the turning and orbiting, while this you can program into a follow mode and tune the motors and it'll move with you according to that setting. Everything that you're doing is controlled by the operator. You're doing it with your fingers
Tiny
and
little
with
movements
finesse.
with your hands.
So it's one of those things where you know, their systems, they're both going to be something that you can pick up and start using, but not using well right away. They're both going to take practice to get to a higher level. But something like the Steadicam, we were talking about, like, you know, 5 years.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 5 years, and they're still much better ops than me. And how long have you had the Ronin?
I mean, a couple of months and using it heavily and testing it out, and I still know I'm not the best at it. I'm pretty good at it, but I've got a long ways to go. So they're both similar. Nothing's going to be something that you just pick up and they just work flawlessly out of the box. You're going to have to practice with either one. Now, one issue we did run into with using the FS700, we had different issues with each system. But with yours, what did we have to do to make this camera package work?
So this is a big rig. It's actually designed for larger cameras. What we had to do is we had to add a big hunk of steel, which you'll see in some of our shots. And that was to add weight so that it's more top heavy, because there's a bunch of stuff down below that needs to be there to make it balance.
And so your particular model is made for much, much beefier broadcast cameras.
It's made for broadcast cameras, Alexas, film cameras, and something as light as this camera, you just have to add weight to make it behave like a big camera.
Now, I had a similar but different problem with mounting onto the Ronin. This camera package is a little bit towards the heavier spectrum of what the Ronin can take, but it could handle it fine. But we had a problem with the fact that with the length of this camera,
it's a very long camera,
and with the weight of the lens, we didn't have enough clearance at the back with the SDI cable attached to tilt. So the only way to do it, we had to slide the camera forward and actually gaff taped, we gaff taped a metal mount and actually my Leatherman multi-tool to the bottom of the camera to get the weight correct to get it to work. We got it to work, but it took a little bit of work to get there.
Now DJI does actually make a long arm accessory, so we wouldn't have had that issue if we had the accessory, but that's things you learn for next time.
Yeah, exactly. If you had that accessory, we would have been solved and would have had a lot easier. This worked. It wasn't the prettiest, but it worked. And again, this is specific to these two systems and specific to this camera. You know, if I had something like a 5D on there, I have no problem whatsoever. If you had something much beefier and much more suited to your system,
you know, an Alexa or Red Epic, it would be fine. Yeah,
and we just wanted something that would be the same, that both could handle for this. So, what do we next have? Oh, speaking of weight, we both had to take breaks.
Yes, we did.
After pretty much every shot. I know I had to, because this system gets heavy.
I lasted about 3 shots before I had to put this down and drink some water. All told, it's about 50 pounds, but it's distributed across your body. You're not holding it up with your arms. This system is a lot lighter, but it's all entirely in your arms.
Yeah, so, holding all that weight in my shoulders and my arms. And again, that's something you could get a solution where people use these backpacks and stuff to take that weight off. But that's additional stuff, and you're going to be bulking up the system, which kind of defeats the purpose of why people like these handheld gimbals. So that's something to know. We did not just run straight through. We both had to take breaks.
And we spent, what, about an hour and a half filming all this?
Yeah, roughly. So yeah, a few breaks, a few bottles of water. But for each of them, our setup and balance time with this camera system was, what did we say, roughly about 20 minutes
20 minutes for both, you know, both having the issues that we need to solve.
So yeah, you had to get everything fine-tuned and balanced on all of your axis. I had to do similar, and then also the added step of adjusting my motor stiffness for the weight of the camera. So that's something that you don't have to do on a system like that.
Yeah, and the other thing is with this, you actually have to get it pretty precisely balanced above the center of gravity. With this, the motors can pick up a little bit of the slack on that, although it's better to have it properly balanced.
Yeah, the better you balance it, the better it's going to run, especially
Yep.
if you're going for a long time, the batteries are going to last longer. But then again, you will never run out of batteries.
I will never run out of batteries. It will never be not stable.
There you go. Well, I think that's about all that I had from that. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, David?
In terms of price of entry, you can get a system like this for what?
I believe they're falling to the 2,000 or below
Really?
mark right now, yeah.
Meanwhile, these are the price of a new car. So if you're buying a system, you can get a low-end one of these or, you know, a Ronin, and as long as you practice with it, you can get great results.
Yeah, and speaking of the results, guys, please go ahead and take a look at all those tests side by side that we did today.
Post a comment down below what you think won.
There you go, yeah. Which one won, Ronin? But yeah, I mean, it's up to you, it's up to the job, it's up to which footage you like best, and keep in mind that it's also up to the experience of your operator on either system, doesn't matter. So there we go, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Oh wait, one last thing. You got to pick up and use this thing for the first time. What did you think about that?
So I had never played with the Ronin before, and it is freaky to use. First off, the first thing you notice, it's really heavy.
Yeah, with this on there, it's heavy.
I'm sure a 5D would be a lot lighter, but once I started using it, it does a lot of the major stabilization for you. You still have to hold it pretty solid, but all the little bumps and jitters, panning it in different directions, it took care of most of that. Stuff that normally would have to be taken care of, you know, with this system with just skill.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they've definitely got something good going here, but like I said, I don't think by any means it's making Steadicams and glide cams and other systems obsolete. I think it's just a different tool for a different job. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please go ahead and like it, and of course, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'll have a lot more stuff like this coming for you guys soon.